Good morning, everyone. Karibuni, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Tell your friends we're online. We are starting. Thank you so much for joining us. Maybe we can get to know each other a little bit. My name is Akati Kasiani. I'm the head of programs at HEVA Fund. So happy to be here this morning. Looking forward to telling you a little bit more about the grants that we are running this month. I'd be delighted if you popped into the chat and said hi and told me where you are joining the call from. We are running a national program. It would be great to know if we're actually meeting people from different parts of the country. So jump into the chat, give us a shout. Let us know what sector you work in. You're a musician. Do you work with filmmakers? All that kind of thing. It would be great if we all got a chance to get to know each other. We've seen people network in these chats before, so don't be afraid to give us a little detail. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Again, let your friends know we're online. We'd like to help as many people as possible with any questions they might be having around these products. The session is also being recorded. It will be up on our YouTube in a short while. I don't want to promise today, but it will be up soon. You can't hear me? Like I'm breaking, or you can't hear me at all?
I can hear you. I'm not sure.
Can anyone else not hear me? I've gotten one chat that someone can't hear me, but
Okay,
I'm not muted.
they can.
So, okay, in case of any other challenges, yeah, just let us know like that again. I'll see if I can check my internet connection. But yes, so I'll just say all that again because we would still love a few more people to join. So good morning. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for making time. Thank you for your interest in HEVA and our work and in these grants that we are running. My name is Akati Kasiani. I am the program manager at HEVA Fund. Very excited about these grants and working with community-based organizations that are in the grassroots with the communities, really working one-on-one with artists and bettering livelihoods. So I was also welcoming you into the chat box. Please say hello, introduce yourself, introduce the work that you do. If you're in a company or if you have a YouTube link, that's all fine. We'd love to hear what kind of things creatives are doing out there, and we'd like to know why you're interested in this work. And I also mentioned it would be an interesting opportunity for you guys to also cross-connect. So if you see someone doing something interesting in the chat, you can also say hi to them there. All right, so we have Chalo Kilonzo working in Nairobi and Kwale County with visual and performing artists. Fantastic stuff. Visual art is so underserved in all these in all the work that we do. So we're very excited that you're working with artists. Performing artists have been recovering from COVID for a while. They were really knocked by the lockdowns and not being able to move around. So we're very excited that things are picking up and guys are putting out performances again. Would love to hear what you guys are doing out in Kwale. And we also have Alan Herbert, who works with an organization called Black Albinism, working in archiving social inclusion via performing arts and content creation. I love an archive. It's one of my favorite things. I really enjoy the thought of people being able to access information they were not previously able to find through the generations going back, going forward. So thank you so much for the work that you do. And thank you as well for making sure you have a focus on social inclusion. That's one reason why we're very excited to work with community-based organizations. We know that you guys are really deep in the work in the communities and making sure that you reach the people who are not generally reached by a lot of systems. So thank you and congratulations. Welcome this morning. I'll probably start the actual Q&A in another 5 minutes. So for now, it's vibes. Call your friends again. We'd love to have them online. If someone has asked a question and you don't see them online, you can ask the question for them. We'll be taking the questions in the chat box. I'm here with some of my colleagues. They'll be able to keep track of those in case I'm talking too much. And we'll also be able to link you to any information you may have missed. So the application form, the FAQ documents, etc. But we'd really like to hear, have you interacted with the form? Did you find any questions particularly challenging? And all that. Why are you interested in the grant? Is the grant useful for you? Would you be interested in a different structure? That's a question for me. That's an answer for me for future, but it's always delightful to hear from people. So yes, if you've joined recently, please jump in the chat, say hello, introduce yourself, introduce the work that you do. It would be useful for us to hear the variety of people who are on the call. We'd love to hear if people from different parts of the country are on the call. And we'd love to hear which different types of artists are also interested in looking for financing or networks or whatever of interest that has brought you to this session. So I see we have Stephen Kahenga on the chat from Ujuzi Craft. They've put their platform there. It might be an e-commerce platform. You could pop in and buy something really cute. Stephen Kahinga and Ujuzi Craft work with influencers, with social commerce and brand marketing. And market access is always such a big issue for artists. People are making things and they're always like, where do I put it? Where do I put out there? How do I meet my audiences? So Stephen could probably help you with that. He has influencers and he has a platform. We also have Rosalind Gikonyo from Taa Arts, working in Nairobi in the arts, empowering youth in performing and visual arts. All about skills transfer, career development, and impact. That's fantastic. Artists do a lot of peer-to-peer learning. So these kind of informal grassroots institutions or interventions where artists are teaching artists, artists are finding experts to teach artists, but really down where people are actually doing the work with the actual equipment that you have in front of you, with the actual audience that you have in front of you. That is such rich work, and we're always excited to hear about what people are doing. So, karibuni. I'll do a quick introduction about the grants, and then I'll take the first sets of questions in about 2 minutes. So, Ota Grants, what are they? So Ota Grants is part of a larger program that will be running over the next couple of years called Sanara. Sanara will be working to do multiple things. One is skills transfer. So we have a group of over 20 artist organizations who work in different value chains, whether you're in film, whether you're in music, visual art, performing art, fashion, design. If you need a residency to get some work done, we have different partners who are doing all this. If you'd like to improve your artistic skills or maybe have kind of an immersion with other artists, there's lots of opportunities. Diana, who's on the call, maybe I should introduce my colleagues before I go too far into the spiel. I have a few colleagues here from HEVA Fund who will be supporting me in this session. I'll just call them as I see them on the chat, and they can say hi. I'm here with Jane Pauline, who does our admin.
Hello, everyone. Thanks, Akati. Excited to be here, excited to hear your questions about the grants. It's so nice to see the number of people who are here as well. Yeah, and I hope you all have a good session. Thanks.
Thanks, Jake. Thanks, Jane Pauline. Jane is great at answering your questions. If you shoot them to us by email, she can help you with that. She's one of the people on the other end of that, and in general, keeping us organized. We really value her input. Here with Dr. Karemi. Karemi, please say hello.
Hi, good morning. I am Dr. Karimi, the Finance Director at HEVA, and I look forward to a very engaging session. Happy to see everyone here. Thanks.
Thank you, Doc. That's our finance guru. She keeps all the money in line. She can assist with, I've seen some questions here about budgeting. She can let you know what the logic behind that is, and she'd be the one signing the checks. I'm also here with Pauline. Pauline, please say hello.
Hi, everyone. My name is Pauline Noduke. I'm the grants officer at HEVA Fund, and I am very happy to be here and looking forward to this session.
Thank you, Pauline. Pauline's our grants officer. So once you successfully have a grant, you'd be getting to know each other quite well. I'm also here with Diana, who does our comms. Diana, please say hello.
Hi. Hi, everybody. My name is Diana. I work in the communications team here at HEVA. And I'm happy to be here and also learn more myself as well about the grant.
All right. Thanks, Diana. So she's also one of the people on the other end of your emails and questions that you might have sent in. Any posters or information that you might have seen out there, she's instrumental in making sure that information gets out to you. So all these people are on the call with me. Every once in a while, they might put something in the chat. So please keep an eye on the chat. We'll put in links, useful information, etc. And we have people who, in case I struggle with a question, can always jump in. But we're going to go ahead. So I'll go back to my brief introduction of the Sanara program as well as the grants, and then I'll go into a few of the questions that we've received and some that I'm already seeing in the chat. So as I mentioned, we have an overarching program called Sanara. Sanara is going to be running for the next couple of years, and we're going to be doing multiple things. So one of the things is where we have partners who are going to be doing training in different art forms. So there's opportunities to sign up and take a class, do a course, learn from your fellow artists and learn from experts. So that's one set of things that we're doing. You can also learn a little bit more about building your creative business. So we also have training opportunities around that. Learn how to manage your money, learn how to manage your team if you have a team, or what kind of human resource things you should be thinking about, what licensing, registration, what's the best way to set yourself up so your business is solid and looks investable when you start looking for money. We'll also be doing this financing. So we have two calls open at the moment. One is this one that we're talking about today around grants for community business organizations, but we also have another one open for loans for creative businesses. We have a question about that, so I'll talk a little bit about that when we go a bit further in to see the difference. And over the next few years, we'll have several opportunities that open up for different sizes of businesses or even individual artists, other loans or for their businesses. We'll also be doing some research, talking to the county government where you come from, talking to the national government, saying, what are you doing for the artists? How are the artists doing in your county? And what could you do better for them? So that's an overall review. Again, I'll ask Diana to put the link to the Sanara program, the overall page, in the chat if you want to go and see what else is available from the different people who we are working with. If any of the things I've said are interesting to you, you'll just head over to, I think it's sanara.com. But again, it'll be in the chat. So you can click there. And then now we can go into talking about the grants. So we'll be working throughout the country for those years, but we do have 6 counties that will serve as our hubs. So that's why you saw in your application form that we are asking, do you have premises in Nairobi, Nakuru, Kisumu, Kakamega, Turkana, or Mombasa counties, because we want to have those as kind of the central points. But anyone from anywhere in the country can access the program. A lot of our information is online. So if you have an internet connection, you can always sign up. And if you need to see us physically, it would be about getting to one of those hub counties, which we hope are well distributed enough that one is not too far away from you. And additionally, we're looking for community business organizations that work in those counties that are already embedded with the communities. You're already working with artists, and you can use a little support to do a little bit of your work better. Maybe you want money to produce. If you work with filmmakers, you want to make some films, you need some funding for that. This is what you can use the grant for. You work bead makers or stone carvers, and you need to buy the beads or the stones, we can help you with that. The team running the CBO has been overwhelmed with the number of people who are signing up, and you need to pay them better, or you need to add a few more people to your team. You can use the money for that. So that's what the grants are for. And in addition, you'll act as support for us. So you can direct some of your members if they are looking for money individually. If they are looking to join one of our classes individually, then you can direct them to our program, and that will be of benefit to us as well. So I'll take the first question. This question was sent to us by email by Odongo Robbie. I don't know if he's on the call. We'll also send a reply by email, but I'll just start with this one. He's based in Kisumu, and the questions are: one, the business that he has is registered as they are registered as a business name, but not as a CBO. Are they eligible to apply for the grant? So maybe we can go over eligibility in general. The main thing about this grant, this particular one that we're talking about today, is we're looking for non-profit-based organizations. So if you have a business that's registered, so in this case, he's only registered a business name. He doesn't have a registration type, which is more important. Having a business name is fine. You can apply, because we would put that under the category of no, I do not have any type of registration. Because the main thing we're trying to find out, are you a commercial enterprise that is doing work regularly to make profit? You have a team of people who you pay salaries, that kind of thing, versus what we're looking for, which is more a team of people who have come together. You have membership within the community. People maybe pay membership fees, maybe they don't, but you come together and you have a common focus that's built around the creative industries, that's trying to better livelihoods. So if you're registered as a CBO, as an NGO, or a public benefit organization, I think that name is changing. If you're a trust, a society, any other type of registration that shows the government knows who you are, but you're not a business in the sense of you're doing you're trading, etc. So we have choices in the application form. So please just select the choice that's most relevant to you. However, if you are a business, registered or unregistered, that's working in your main focus is making profit, then you would probably be better placed applying for the loans. Second question. When is the grant application deadline? The grant application deadline for the CBO grants is the 27th of October. It will be the midnight of the Sunday. So as soon as we get into the Monday, the application form will have closed. So you have just under a week to get that filled. If you're having any challenges, please send us questions or ask them today, so that you can make sure that you get to submit on time. We are focused on being on time, so please try and get your application in before midnight on the 27th of October. So we've put the We've put the Sanara webpage link in the chat, and I'm now open to take questions. So I'll just look in the chat. I'll also request everyone, unless you've been tapped to speak, please mute your mic. So we don't have any background noise. Please just check if your mic is muted right now. Mute your mic. If you do have a question, you can raise your hand and we're sure to get it. So we have one question. I don't have Excel on my computer. Can I submit my budget in another way? That's fairly technical. I don't think so. I would suggest, maybe I can ask Dr. Karemi or Pauline to comment, but I would suggest that maybe for that part, you might visit a cyber cafe or someone with a computer with Excel. I don't know if you'll be able to open it. No. Yeah, I would suggest that you have it, because we have a very specific template that is going to make our work of reviewing it very easy. So we don't want multiple formats. That will take a lot of time, and we may get some errors in trying to translate it. So I would strongly suggest you work on the template. If you can't access it on your computer, we request that you find another computer. I would also suggest that you make sure that's a computer you can access regularly, because if you do get the grant, you will be working on a similar template to do your reporting and to make your disbursement request. So you would need access to Excel. But I can ask if Pauline or Dr. Karemi have any response to that.
Yeah, Akati, I agree with you. Yeah, let's maintain let's use the same template. And also, as Akati has mentioned, that's the same template that's going to be used during reporting. So it's essential to at least have a laptop that is assessed, that has Excel. I agree with you, Akati.
Okay. Pauline? Are you going to say something?
Yes, I agree with the both of you. And maybe if they don't have the Excel on their laptop, installed in their laptop, I assume they have an email address, so they can also use the Google Sheet on the email. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So one, can you find a computer nearby, a friend or a cyber cafe who you could use their Excel? Two, if you are on Gmail, can you work on Google Sheets and then download that? I think another thing you can keep in mind is that it would be possible to use some of should you get the grant successfully, you could use the funds to upgrade your laptop. So for future, you can put that in your budget. You can put that in the budget that you submit, and that will solve the problem for the future. So just take that extra step for the application, and the solution would be able to be found going forward. Another question from the email, does the form save progress? I do not see a saving option. So unfortunately, the form does not save progress. You cannot log in, have access to your form unless you're using the same machine. If you log into the form on your computer, sign off and come back to the same computer and sign back into Typeform, it will bring the same form. However, if you're using different machines in between attempts, unfortunately, you cannot save. We're working on the platforms that we'll be using. So future iterations might allow you to save, will likely allow you to save. But for now, unfortunately, unless you're working on the same machine, you cannot save progress. I would suggest you look through the form. Maybe you can copy and paste onto a Word document if you want a reference. But I would suggest you look through a form, figure out what you need to collect before you want to fill it, and then fill it in one sitting, or copy paste onto another document so that you can refer to that. And then when you're ready, you can paste back from that document onto the Typeform. Again, in the future, we'll be using a different platform, so this should not be a problem. I have a question in the session. Alan Herbert, your hand is up, so please ask your question. Alan, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Thank you very much. And that energy is really needed because we are from a long holiday. So I definitely appreciate that. My
You enjoyed
question,
yourself.
yes. My question probably is directed to Daktari and a little bit of more elaboration on the budgeting side. So when you look at the budget is structured into 3 tiers, a 75% towards the work that needs to be done. I think there is a 15% that I remember there is a 15% that is geared towards M&E and capacity building, and then 10% that is left for any activities to run the office and all of that. Which of the 3 tiers would the team suggest that you attach budgets if you have salaries? Because when you look at the 10%, and in my situation currently, when I look at that 10%, I might not be able to cover my current costs when it comes to particularly the place that we have for rent, because we also have an in-house studio where some of the persons with albinism we create content with come to create content. So when we look at the mathematics, the 10% might not be enough to cover that for a period of 3 years. That would be my first question.
You have a second question?
Yeah, my second question will be around as the way we are set up as Black albinism, because I've heard that yes, we are overwhelmed because we have more youth with albinism who are coming and creating content, but that is not the only aspect that we're looking at. We also have what is called the Black Albinism Festival, and we also have other things that we're doing. And I was even happy for the opportunity because one of the collaborators in the program, what is the name? Baraza Media Lab. We collaborated with them for the Black Albinism Festival early this month in June for the Albinism Awareness Day. We have a number of things that we're doing. Is it advisable that we include them in this grant as well, or we could select a few activities that we could include into this and leave some others out of this grant?
All right. I'll ask Dr. Karimi to take the first question, then I can attempt to tackle the second one.
Okay. Thank you for your question. The essence for distributing those percentages, one, is because a big chunk of the grant needs to go towards a project implementation activities. So for instance, if you find there's some personnel, like probably a project manager, that can go towards direct project cost because then they're directly involved in the project, but then issues like rent needs to go within the 10% for admin cost. So usually the essence for those particular distributions is to ensure that a big portion of that amount goes towards project direct implementation to pay for direct activities that are running the program. So we're seeing because instead of running, as you've said, you want to run the project for 3 years, you still have an option of reducing down in the number of months that you need to run the program to fit it into the grant amount that is available. You don't need to really run the program for the 3 years, but then is it possible to shorten the duration you need to run it, but also creating impact, so that you don't rush it in 3 months and you're done without creating impact. So it's seeing what timelines really fit within the available budgets and the timelines that make sense. But then these particular percentages and thresholds are the guiding principles for the budget.
Maybe we can share some examples of how staff can be distributed across. So where you can have some staff in the project costs and where you have some staff in the admin costs. Maybe, for example, your accountant or your producer might come under admin costs. But if you are doing training, for example, the trainer could come under project costs. Have I done that correctly, Karimi?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
So if you can kind of tie the salary directly to the program activity, you can put that under project costs, which, as you've seen, has a wider amount. And if there are more admin, it wouldn't matter what you are doing, they would have to still be working, then you can put them in admin, and that gives you some flexibility. I think a similar thinking can be used to approach your second question, which is you have many things you want to do, and you're curious as to whether you should put them all in. It really depends on you. What amount of money are you requesting? Does it cover your many activities, or would you be stretching yourself thin across them? Same with the team that you would be working with, because we would be tracking everything that you kind of put in your budget across the grant time. So what would you be able to achieve reasonably within the time and with the amount of money that you're asking for? It's fine if there's multiple things. If you say we want to do a film festival and we want to do trainings and we want to do, it's fine. However, I will say the more things you have, especially if there's somewhat unrelated, the more complicated it gets for you guys. We've seen over time that people with those kinds of diffuse project approaches may find that in the process of actually putting boots to the ground, there's a lot of things that they hadn't considered. There's a lot of plates spinning in the air at the same time. So I would keep it simple. It doesn't have to be simple, one thing. Even if it's many things, keep it simple. And then just take into account the resources that you're asking for. So the money, the amount of time you'd have available, the people that you have available and the ones that you're planning to hire, and then make that decision. But it doesn't have to be one project. It doesn't have to be many projects. We'll take what you apply for and review that. Yes, and as you said, the grant would be running over a course of 3 years. So if you do have, kind of shorter term projects, or you want to do a film festival every year, you just have to kind of make that clear. As long as you can articulate that and the work plan that you have in mind and the budget makes sense, we can work with whatever you're confident you can deliver. I hope that's clear, Alan. You can give me a thumbs up or ask any follow-ups. While we wait for that feedback, the next question we have in the chat is, are unregistered, this is from Koi, who I think is actually on the call, Koi Kashi, are unregistered but functioning CBOs eligible for the grants? The answer is yes, as long as you have been functioning for 6 months. And can demonstrate that with some kind of evidence, emails. It doesn't have to be financial evidence, but just show that you have actually been working for the last 6 months minimum. Then you can apply even if you don't have a formal registration. Does this grant consider pardon me? Did someone speak? Okay. There's another question. Does this grant consider the beauty industry? Yes, it does. We have a long, comprehensive list of the breakdown. So we have the 3 main ones that you'll see on the opening page of any of our documents. We talk about, let me just pull it up so I say it correctly. Fashion, garments and accessories, film, television, and content creation with gaming and audiovisual. And then we also have live music, theater, and performing arts. So we have those 3 main categories, but we have a document. I'll ask Diana to also put it in the chat. It's linked on the application form if you want to see the breakdown of what is included under all those value chains. So the beauty industry is included under fashion. If you are a beautician, if you're a makeup artist, if you are a nail artist, if you run a salon, if you do hair, there's opportunities for all those kinds of subgroups of people. So I would strongly suggest that you just review the document that we have. It has that in lots more detail, and we hope that it has covered as many, as broad as possible categories for the different types of creatives that we have. If you do not find your category there, if you're doing something very innovative that we haven't heard of yet, shoot us an email with a short description. We'll see if it's possible, because again, we don't have too many restrictions on that. We want to reach as many people doing as many different things. All right, thank you, Alan. We've gotten your text. And again, if you have any follow-ups, please feel free. All right, any other questions from the session? I think I've answered
No, it's okay, Karibuni.
the ones in the chat.
Yes.
There's a
Karibu
question
sana.
here
Yes,
about
Karibuni.
options for companies not registered under the categories listed. Is there a provision for sole proprietors? So for the CBO grants, no. No, because you cannot have a community business organization that is a sole proprietorship. So sole proprietorship would more, again, fall under the commercial entities. And so we would wait for the loans, or you can wait until sometime next year. We'll have some grants for individual practitioners. But for the community-based organization, even before you've registered, you have to kind of have members who sign. You need a list of members. That's part of what makes you a community-based organization. So for this grant, you could not apply as an individual. Yes, oh, that was from email. Okay. How many people are we targeting to get the grant? It depends on how much money people ask for. Our minimum is 2 CBOs per target county. That comes to 12. But if people are accessing smaller grants, running smaller programs, we could expand that beyond that, again, depending on the numbers and what you're targeting. There's a question about buying equipment. Sorry? About buying equipment. Is there a threshold or limitation to how much can be spent on equipment? Pauline, would you take that, or Dr. Karemi, if you'd prefer?
Hi. So on about the equipment, just like the template suggests, 75% should be direct project cost of the activities. If the equipment fall under that category, and you, by purchasing that equipment, it will fulfill the impact of the project, then it doesn't have a threshold. But remember, if it will fall under the admin cost, the threshold will be 10%. But if it's part of the things that would need to implement this project, and it will fall under 75%, then we don't have a threshold to that. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Pauline. The only thing I'll say there is you cannot buy land or a building, for example. But smaller pieces of equipment, machinery for production, things like cameras, sewing machines, those are all considered. You can also purchase software or subscriptions if that's what makes more sense. If you work in a more tech or digital manner, or you need some tech or digital support for your work. So you can buy hardware, you can buy software, as well as inventory or materials for production. All right. Twalib Rashid, I think you're on the chat in the session. You are asking the final criteria we are using to pick the qualified individuals. So it's essentially what you have in the application form. Are you located in one of our hub counties so that we can rely on you for some program activities? For example, if you have a space, can we hold some of our sessions there if you have, if the place is free that day? Can you help us talk to people in your community because you're more embedded? So if we're mobilizing, that kind of thing. So one, are you located in the county? Have you been working in the county? Are you well known and received in the community? Are you working with within the creative cultural industries? So you could perhaps be you could be interested in, say, food security, but you utilize theater to pass the information about food security. So there's an important aspect, or a significant part of your work is based around artistic work, artistic outputs. And you're working with young people, particularly young women, That means between the ages of 18 and 35. Do you work with people with disabilities or refugees, any other group of people who may be marginalized, because that can vary from space to space. So you can let us know in our community, this subgroup of people is particularly, has particular challenges around making money. And so we work with them using art to make money. So if you can indicate that you work with marginalized communities, that's another group. That's another criteria. Then we look at the quality of the proposal that you're going to submit. So does the program that you have in mind, what you want to spend that 75% of your budget on, is it improving the livelihoods of those communities that we've mentioned? Is it improving factors for artists in general? Are artists going to have an easier time working because they know you? Are they going to have an easier time explaining to their parents, mimi ni msanii, this is what it means, and it's a serious thing? So we look at that. We look at how you're planning to spend the money. As the review process continues, the more successful people will actually meet us. We'll have a pitch session and get to meet, to see each other and see if we would be able to constructively work over that period of time. And then we make the decision. So again, essentially what is in the application form, when you answer those questions, that's exactly what we're going to look at to evaluate. So it doesn't matter, say, for example, how, if you're only 6 months old versus if you're 5 years old, it really matters how well have you articulated the value that you're going to give us through this grant. And us is the entire creative economy ecosystem, not HEVA. What are you going to do for young people and artists in particular? So yeah, those are the criteria. I hope that's clear, Twalib. In case of any follow-up, you can also put that in the chat. How about activities based across counties? For Chalo, they're based in Nairobi, but we seek to have the project implemented in Kwale. Yes, you would be able to get the funding. In that situation, we'd be interested to know if you've worked in Kwale before, or this is our first time attempt. We'd be interested to know why Kwale, if you're already in Nairobi, what is taking you there? What are your connections there? And again, what would be the impact? If there is a Kwale organization that is interested in doing similar things, they might be stronger placed to implement in Kwale. But again, it depends on the spread of applications we use. But if you are planning to implement across counties, in different counties, even if it's not the 6 that are mentioned, that's a benefit, because again, we're trying to reach as many young people as possible. Yes, so again, as long as you're clear on what you're trying to achieve, how you're the best person to achieve it, then we'll definitely consider that. Wamboi Kibue, what if you have an individual project that will promote the community but is not community-based? Does that qualify? I'm not sure I understand this. If you're able to switch on your mic and give us a bit more detail about your question, then I can answer it. Wamboi, let us know. If you can't switch on your mic, maybe you can add some detail again in the chat.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hi. Yes.
So what I mean is, like, you have a project. Let's say you have written something that in your execution part you'll be able to involve guys in the community, but you're not community based. You're just an individual artist, but you have a project that can involve the community because of the ideology of it and everything, especially through the execution. Can you still apply as an individual?
No. So again, there will be opportunities for you in 2025. So I hope that softens the no. But this particular grant that we're talking about today, this one that the application is online, is for community-based organizations. So you cannot apply as an individual. However, we will have opportunities for individuals, and something like it will have impact for the community will be something quite strong in your application. So I would recommend some patience and just keep an eye on our socials and our website you can give us, you can sign up for information. Diana, do we have a process for that related to this call? Do people just put their thing in the chat?
I
What
think
could we
the
do?
most direct would just be the email. It's sanara@hevafund.com. After this, that is, outside of this forum.
Okay, so you can sign up for information via newsletter, etc. Just send your email to Sanara. You said Sanara at?
sanara@hevafund.com. I'll just write it in the chat box.
Yeah. So it's in the chat box. You can sign up for information. Like I said, we're going to have a number of opportunities coming, both grants and loans. It's just that at the moment, what's available is for community-based organizations and for businesses with certain criteria. So for this one, no, but in future, yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I see a hand. Ibrahim, would you please go ahead and ask your question?
Hello. Greetings. So for me, I'm based in Tanzania, and
I know it's you. Hi, Ibrahim. You're from Nafasi, right?
Yeah, now I'm an independent creative, I can say.
Right. It's nice to see you. Hello.
Yeah, hi everyone. Yeah, so
Karibu
currently,
Kenya.
Asante sana. So our project integrates graffiti and sign language, and we want to provide a platform for even artists who have issues with sign language to professionalize their career and be able to make money out of that of the project. So we were thinking like for based in Tanzania, are we eligible to apply, or there would be some conditions around that, or we have to wait for the next call in the future?
Unfortunately, yes. This project is focused in Kenya. So unless you find a Kenyan partner in the next few days, you would not be able to fund you in Tanzania. But it sounds amazing. I really like this idea of working with people with sign language. We're very interested in working with people with disabilities. I don't know, maybe someone in the session already is thinking, ding, 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 this could be someone we could work with. They can chat you. I would strongly recommend looking for a Kenyan partner. We could probably figure something out in the future. But unfortunately, right now, we're not working outside Kenya.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
But I know we have your contact. So when we have regional or continent-wide product, we'll definitely reach out to you.
Okay, appreciate that.
Yeah, and thank you for joining. It's so nice to see you.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
You see, there's already an offer in the chat. Chalo Kilonzo would like to connect. Stacy Acheng would like to partner. So maybe you guys can direct message each other, see what's possible. Again, it would be great to do something for the hard of hearing community.
Okay.
Then let me take a question. You're welcome. I can take this one because I have such a great answer. Curtis is asking, are there any valuable networking opportunities or partnerships that come with being part of the Ota program? Kind of just connecting us with valuable contacts that can also assist in our project. Nimesema na nimetenda, right here. We've already made a connection, or possibly 3. So 1, there's opportunities like this. General sessions where you can interact with other creatives. Should you be selected, then you form kind of a subgroup, and amongst that, we found some really rich connections have been built. For other projects, this has even expanded across borders. And again, even if they're not necessarily in this program, we have people's information, we have people's contacts. So if we see opportunities that make sense, or if you have someone in mind, you're like, I would really like to speak to XYZ, is that someone who you have contacts with? You can always reach out to us. Also, if you're not only talking about peer-to-peer networking, but like peer-to-mentor or peer-to-expert, peer-to-market access, we are able to support those kinds of things. And we'll be working with any successful beneficiaries around capacity building. So if maybe you're a small organization, you're trying to figure out how to grow, we have some systems in process to support you with that, which could involve networking or mentor matching, that kind of thing. if you're a bigger organization and you're like, we are fully developed, but we need to make connections, that's also possible. So the answer to that is yes. And thank you for asking so that I could make that little connection. Curtis, if there's any additional question or follow-up, please raise your hand or put it in the chat. Mudhani Njoroge, would you consider a CBO in Limuru that has a community radio? Looking forward to start film production training in their facility. The thing is, it would be a consideration. So again, everyone needs to have physical premises in one of the hub counties. So if you're located in Limuru, do you have a physical space in any of the 6 counties that we've talked about? Perhaps Nairobi, I think that's closest to you. If not, then that really drops the possibility. However, depending on the variety of applications that we get and the strength of your application, we could consider it. However, I would like to mention it would be lower on the consideration after we've kind of filled the spots for the others. However, again, there are opportunities that are coming next year that might be more accessible for you. I would suggest applying. If it's not inconvenient for you, I would suggest applying and making sure that your information gets to us so that we can see what you're talking about, and then we can make a decision. However, again, one of the criteria is that you're located in the counties. So Limuru, I'm sure we could start thinking about Nairobi as Nairobi Metropolitan. So there's a possibility, but that would definitely be something that is flagged. All right, I see a hand in the session. Evelyn Boa, please ask your question.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the elaborate. I have a question on the application link. On part F, there's that template that comes when you need to upload your company profile, and then you get to the organogram template. When I click, it tells me that my connection is not private. So when I proceed, it gets me to a link where I think I need to download an app or something. So, and I can't proceed next. So I don't know how that can be.
Okay.
How to go about that?
Could you take screenshots and send it to the email address? Because I'm not quite clear. But if you can show us, then we might be able to respond better.
Okay.
You're saying you click the link to the template or to organogram?
You click the link to the template, and then it gets you to another link.
No, I'm asking. Sorry for being so, yeah. But the thing you're clicking, is it organogram or is it template? If I'm remembering that question correctly. Are there 2 links in that question? Okay. So organogram, that takes you to a website that describes what an organogram is. So for your purposes, if you already know what an organogram is, you don't need to go to that link. You can just put your organogram in the under the template. However, please just send us the link so that we can investigate what the challenge is, so that for anyone who doesn't know what an organogram is, they can still get that information. The email is in the
okay.
chat. Yeah,
I thought you need to just have the same template, the same organogram as what is in this definition.
No. For the organogram, as long as you can show us your management team and the ages, any people who are disabled, any people who are refugees, and the gender, the formatting is up to you because it's pretty much always a flowchart. But we do know that, again, there are some people who will be applying who have not worked with an organogram before. So we're trying to show them an example. So that's where that first link goes. So again, kindly just send us the screenshot so we can see what the error is, because I don't think we have been getting that error on our end, and we can correct it for anyone who needs a reference. But essentially, if you know what an organogram is, you can just put that on a Word document and upload it in the meantime.
Okay, And then
Yeah.
also you can share the list, the sector on fashion, garments and accessories, so that we get to be clear on what is eligible from your end.
Yeah, I think it's been put in the chat.
Not yet.
But we, yeah. So again, just check the chat. There's either the frequently asked questions or breakdown of value chains.
Okay.
Yeah, so it'll be in the chat. If by the end of the session you haven't seen it in the chat, just remind me and I'll make sure it's put up. All right. Anyone else in the session with a hand up? No. Okay, so I'll go back to the chat. Where's the link to the template? To which template, Owen? All the links to all the templates are on our webpage where we describe the products. That's where you get all the background information. At the bottom of that form is where you click to apply now. And then when you go to the application form, if you need templates for the budget and yeah, just the budget actually, it is on the application form when you get to the question. All right, so it's a recurring problem about seeing the organogram template. We will look into it and update the link. All right, any other questions? I don't have any questions in the chat. There was a question from Cheryl, but I see it's been responded to. Cheryl, if you have any feedback, please just put it in. We're being asked about the dates for the individual grants. We don't have set dates yet, but it will be in the first quarter of 2025 that those will be available. Yeah. So again, please keep an eye out, follow us on socials, or at least check our socials every once in a while. And you can write to us, Sanara at HEVA Fund. Sorry, let me get that right. Sanara at hevafund.com. Any questions you have, or if you would like to be signed up to the newsletter for any information about the program. It will not only be about the grants, it will also be about training programs, events, because we're going around the counties. We'd love to meet people. Impact, so when people have done something that they're successful with, and you want to get some inspiration, or someone who you want to network with. So it's a really useful newsletter to sign up for, whatever your interest might be. It will have lots of information, and we'll be giving you that info for the next couple of years, so you really know what's happening with artists across the country, through the program, etc. I see a hand up from Audrey Namusei. Audrey Namusei, please ask your question. Audrey, can you hear us? If you're speaking, you're on mute.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I don't know if this was the session, the correct session for me, but I chose to join anyway.
No problem.
More of what I do is something called the Rapcaster. The Rapcaster is where we tell news, information, like all kind of information, but in music form, so that is so consumable to the young people.
Okay.
Maybe I should have sent this as a proposal on an email. It's more of a proposal to partner with you guys because you are dealing with artists. It's even nicer if you tell them the information in a very artistic way and musical way, because if you use music and news, even if it's about advertising and stuff, but in a very music and news form, making it very consumable to the young people.
Yeah, that sounds really interesting. So again, please, the proposal you just mentioned, if you can just write that down and send it to the same email, Diana will take it to the comms team, and we'll figure out if there's a possibility to partner. Would love to hear what languages do you rapcast in? Are you currently rapcasting? Where are your audiences? Who are you reaching? Do you know anything about them, like how old they are, what kind of things they're interested in? So any kind of additional information you have about your audiences would be useful to include, and then just a description of what it is that you do and why you think it would be interesting to partner. And then we can get back to you as to the possibilities.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for asking. Yeah, it's really interesting. All right. 2 new messages. All right. Okay, it is 1 hour in. I don't know if your questions have been exhausted. So maybe I'll talk through a few more facts and figures about the grant. If by 12:15 we don't have any more traction, we can close. If other questions do come up, again, we have this session booked out until 1. So if your friends haven't joined, there's still time. If someone shoots you a question over text, there's still time. It's just that right now I can't see any questions to actively respond to. So this session will be posted on our YouTube channel. So again, if someone missed it, you can direct them to our YouTube channel, HEVA Fund, and they'll be able to access this information session. We had an information session about the loans that are available right now about 2 weeks ago. That one should also be available for you in case that's relevant. You can have a look at it. That one, again, is more likely for profit-making organizations, but you might be wearing many hats. So that's available on the YouTube channel. Again, if you go to hevafund.com/Sanara, you'll be able to see everything the wider program is doing. I've mentioned we have training in art. So the different value chains that we're working in, we have expert trainers, people like Soul Generation, Filamu Juani, Mudhoni Perform Music Accelerator that's run by Mudhoni Drama Queen. We have people who are working in fashion like Frederick Bittner. We have artist residencies. So there's all kinds of things for artists to be able to improve their craft. So please pass by our website, see if there's anyone who you're interested in taking a class from, or maybe your members would be interested in taking a class from. They can sign up. We'll let you know when you're going to be in your county. We'll figure all that stuff out together. If you want to learn about how to build your creative business, again, yourself or your members or your friends, we have opportunities for that. So you can learn how to write a business plan, develop a budget, do your marketing and promotion. How do you find markets? How do you find networks, etc.? So we have some training on that. Again, wonderful opportunities to network, to find mentorship. Then we are also, every additional financial product that we come up with will be posted there, so you can read about it when it comes out. Sometimes we'll be looking to talk to people, like interview you guys, find out what's happening in your county, how are you interacting with your CEC for culture. Are there any policies that are local that are useful for you? So there might be call outs for that kind of thing. So there's lots of opportunities to work with us, interact with us. You might not be interested in funding. You might just be interested in having your voice heard. And again, making sure that people understand the work that artists are doing, the role of artists in communities. So there's lots of opportunities for that. So please pass by our webpage, see what's available. If you're looking specifically for the grants, then you can read about the grants. You just, the application criteria are you located in one of the 6 counties? Have you been operating for at least 6 months? Are you well understood in the community? Do they know you? Are they willing to trust you? And are you working with young people, people with disabilities, refugees or displaced persons in that community? And are you working through the arts? If you can prove or demonstrate that set of things, you're in a really good position. And then it's just about how impressive your proposal is. And your proposal still ties back to the same things. We're not asking you to do anything new. You don't have to do something that you've never done before. It is the first time you're innovating. It can be something you've been doing for the past 3-5 years, and you need more support to keep doing it. It can also be something new if that's what you feel like that's the direction your organization needs to go into. So it's new, but again, is it having impact on that community? And are you able to support us to meet more of the young people and artists in your county? All right, I see some messages. Let's see. Where is the link to sign up for the trainings kindly? So again, if you go to Sanara, I don't know why it's not sticking in my head. But if you start at hevafund.com/Sanara, you'll be able to click on any of the sub things you might be interested in. But let me request that one of my colleagues finds the skilling link in particular from Baraza and puts it in the chat. So that was a question from, just a second. That was a question from Wamboi. So Wamboi, again, if by the end of the chat we haven't responded to you in the chat, please just give me a reminder. So you can look at hevafund.com/Sanara. There's another link as well, and you just put in some information and see who is ready to train, etc. Can the grant be used to get a physical space? You can use it to rent a physical space. It would. If you have 0 physical space, again, your application is less strong. If you have a small physical space, just like, okay, we have a space, but it's like an office, and we would not be able to hold events, so we would use part of the grant to rent a bigger space for events or for where we would put our machines for our people to use. That's a stronger application. If you have no physical space, not great. But yes, the answer is yes, you can use the grant funds to rent, not to buy a physical space. There's a question here from Colin. You'll forgive me, I don't know how to pronounce your second name. You can come on the mic and teach me. But Colin is from Uganda. So he's based in Kampala, working in artist development and education, and a handbook. So let me read this because he's actually trying to connect with people who are working in the same field. So again, Colin, I'll ask Colin to switch on his mic and introduce himself. But based in Kampala, working in artist development and education through a fellowship and a handbook, and would like to connect with any people here who are on the same train. So artist development, development of training materials for artists. And then the second question is, are there any opportunities for Ugandans right now or soon? No. Not right now, but I would suggest the same thing. If you sign up to our socials or our newsletter when something active for the region or the wider continent comes on live, then you'd be able to participate. And again, we are very happy to look at partnership proposals. So if some people jump in the chat and would like to work with you, we could figure something out through that. So Colin, please just switch on the mic and say hello so that people can get maybe you can give a brief introduction about your work.
Right. Hi. I will stay in the dark, but
No problem.
thank you, Akati. My name is Colin Serunjoji. It is pronounced Serunjoji. Yeah. Well, I heard you. It is sad that there's no opportunities, but definitely I am positive we shall get something. Yeah. Personally, I am a musician, a guitar player, but we started working with other young artists and musicians who always wanted to join us. So we started this fellowship program where we take young artists, singers, and musicians and poets through a whole 7 months fellowship where we take them through their identity, how to work with others, songwriting, creating content, branding, and everything. So we have also additionally created a curriculum, which is in form of the handbook that I'm talking about. And it is what we use to run our fellowship. We've been running it for 4 years now, and every year we graduate 20 to 25 new artists in Kampala. But right now I'm at a stage where we want to like blow out and go out and meet other people in the region, also learn from a few other maybe such people and how they operate, so that we can also be able to scale. And that is why I'm even here to look out for even more opportunities to scale. I'm also looking forward to at some point go to Nairobi or Dar es Salaam to meet people and learn more about their work and how they operate. So that's why I'm here, and I'm very open to collaborations and meeting people.
All right. Thank you for telling us. Karibu Kenya. If anyone is working in similar lines, they can just direct message. Again, he's written in the chat, so you can reply to that. Share your contacts, etc. And Colin, please sign up to our info, our newsletter, and our socials, and opportunities will cross your screen.
Definitely. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Right. We have a question from Twalib again. Can a CBO that deals with teaching youth martial arts as a source of livelihood be considered? I don't think so, because I would think that's more of a sport. Again, unless you could draw some kind of line between the martial arts. I mean, how do they earn the living after learning martial arts? Is it performances? Is that what they're called? Display fights? I don't know what they're called. Again, I'm not in sports. But the main thing is, can you draw a line to the creative industry? Because we work primarily in the creative industry. If you say that we primarily work in martial arts, we're starting an after-school arts program, we could consider that. But if you're coming specifically to continue training around martial arts, and that is the qualification that they get, then that is a little out of scope for us. I hope that's clear. All right, any other questions? We're coming up to the quarter of the hour. You're welcome to Alib. Any questions? I can also take general questions about HEVA. If you have never heard of us before, if you're curious about the work that we do, we can also, if maybe you've passed by and seen what's happening with the loans, we can take some questions on that as well. Otherwise, I will start looking to close the session. So let's recap what's in the chat. We have frequently asked question, or we have the web page. So scrolling. The web page is hevafund.com/Sanara. Yes, let me put it again. How do I put it again? Copy. Thank you for your patience. So there we have the main Sanara webpage. We have the email address in case of any questions that you have. Again, please remember the deadline is coming up quite swiftly. We're closing the applications on the 27th of this month. That is next Sunday at midnight. So if you don't want to be typing at 11:58, just get onto the form now. It's pretty simple. It's a set of questions. So some basic information about the organization, like your contact, where you're located, how many members do you have, how long have you been operating, so that you kind of have offhead. And then you describe what you'd like to do with the grant, over what period. So you can have a grant up to 3 years. So what would you like to do? a budget that shows us how you would like to spend the money. Please have a look. We've tried to make it as simple as possible. This is an opportunity to tell us if there's anything on the form that isn't clear, so that we can also see if we can refine it for now or for future opportunities. But yeah, always make an attempt. I find in the time that I've worked at HEVA, a lot of people have come back to us and said, I was not successful in the last round, but doing the application really taught us a lot about how to apply. So you could learn some things that would make you successful in another round, or applying in other opportunities that are not necessarily from HEVA. So yeah, just do your best, try your luck. If you're at least 6 months old and you have a good idea, we are really interested in hearing from you. So there's the webpage. The webpage will have all the details of Sanara. You'll be able to directly access this grant. That page will have the frequently asked questions that I've seen a link to. And just like general, what do you need to know about the overall program? Those are also in the chat. The list of value chains, you can get to it via the page. Let me see if we can find a link. Diana, do you have a link to the breakdown of value chains?
Not on the website, but I think they're listed as on the FAQs.
Okay, they're on the FAQs. So please
I
access
the link.
Yes. So if you go via the FAQs, that's one of the FAQs, and it's an extensive list. That's why it needs to be a separate document. It's a detailed list. So please take some time, read through it again. You can tell your friends, hey, you're a nail artist. No one else wants to give you money. HEVA wants to give you money. So I have some questions. Do we ever partner with federations? Example, the Esports Federation. Yes, we have done some esports collaborations. So the answer to that is yes. I'm not sure if that is a full enough answer. If you have a bit more detail to your question, Twalib, you can ask. But yes, the answer is yes. What is the overall scope of fashion garments? And maybe let me see if I can pull up the document and put it on the screen. Again, if you go to the FAQs, you'll see a link to the value chains, but I can look it up on the screen, and we can take a few minutes on it together.
Hi.
Hello.
Oh, I wanted to clarify my question, which I just typed and it seems not to be whatever well explained. What if you're an artist with different artistic skills, different types of work? You're like you've done a range of things over time, and that they have piled up to something valuable, but you're not sure how, because HEVA comes in a way to just fund you and give you money, but you're not sure how what all these things you have accumulated over time, all this knowledge can be able to fit into HEVA's objectives. But is there a way? But you're sure there's a way. Is there a way like you can clarify for artists what they have and they have that will be able to foster your objective, the objective that you guys have at HEVA? Am I making any sense?
I'm sure you're making sense, but I'm not sure how to answer your question. You're saying you're a multidisciplinary artist.
Yes.
Okay. What is the next part of your question?
So, so you said you guys also do some trainings. You have some training. So you have like you have collected skills over time. Let's say you have done productions, you have done film, you have done stage, you have written, you have all these skills all compiled, yeah. And you're not sure if you wrote that down, it would look eligible for funding or for it to be given money. So how can you go about that to ensure that the value of the experience you've collected can somehow resonate with the objectives you guys have?
Maybe you can clarify what has is it that you've interacted with some of our application forms and found that you couldn't put your information down, or because...
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. For example, like last time when I applied, specifically I looked for
what did you apply for?
I applied for under the audio part. You said any sort of material because it was general. The one for individual artists, I think it was around October, the beginning of this year, where you could apply for audio plays. You could apply for everything. So I applied under the audio play section
for the touring grant.
Yeah, for the touring grant for going for different places. So I put under the section of audio plays, and I wrote down I filled in the templates you gave, everything, and I sent it back. But you also responded, thank you very much, and you said, for now I have not been eligible because of some few things here and there, but I should try next time.
So were the things here and there related to your experience, or were they related to something else?
That was not sure.
Okay, you know what? We're taking a lot of time. So I'll say, hold on to the call afterwards, and we can discuss your specific in detail. But there's a couple of things to consider. One, different products have differences in what they are looking for. So depending on the eligibility criteria, you just answer the question as best you can. Having a variety of disciplines under your belt is not negative. It's not a negative. If the particular product is very focused, and let's say, for example, this one is not, so it doesn't apply. But for other things, like maybe it's very focused and we're only looking for a specific subset of the creative industry, then you might not need to mention that you've done other things and you focus on that particular subset in what you're explaining.
Yes.
But otherwise, we don't generally, and it'll be clear from the questions, because you'll probably be asked, can you give us your experience in this subsector over this period of time? But it's not a disadvantage. And again, maybe it's an issue of maybe you guys feeding back to us and saying, we don't feel like the question allowed me to express myself. But essentially, we do try and build out forms that allow you to enter whether you have lots of experience, whether you don't have that much experience, whether you have experience in a multiplicity of things. We know that's how artists operate. So the other thing to consider is that these are competitive processes. So chances are some people will not make it. There's a limited amount of funds available. So, you know, the most qualified will take the grants. We do try and make sure that we don't only fund the same people over and over again, so that varies over time. But I think it's useful to keep in mind that there's limited funds. It's a competitive process, so there is a possibility that you will not get the funding, even though you may qualify, simply because there's not enough money.
All right, understood.
Yeah, but I'm happy to stay on the call and talk through any other concerns you have afterward. Yeah, because that was quite specific. Wamboy Kibe is asking, what if you have artistic skills and works, and I'm not sure how you can collaborate with HEVA, but you're sure you have something to add for the objectives you have? I suppose you can write to us.
No, you just answered me.
That's the question. Okay.
Yeah.
So collaborate with HEVA is okay. But let me just answer the question I had in my head. Because I thought this was more like you might want to work with us, similar to Rapcaster. And so the answer to that is send us an email. But if it's for funding, the things that we ask for around funding are always just in the funding documents on that webpage. If you applied last time and you found a challenge, still have a look, because the product might be different. What we're trying to fund might be different. So whatever was a difficulty the last time may not be a similar difficulty now. All right, so I was going to show you the breakdown of value chains. So this is a document. Again, you can access it on the FAQs. I don't know if you can take a screenshot as we go. I'm not that tech savvy, but like I said, it's a very comprehensive document. So for the person who was asking specifically around fashion, garments, and accessories, it's anyone involved in design, production, and sale. Fashion, apparel, and beauty, accessories. So if you're a designer, clothing, jewelry, leatherwork, shoes. So I'll just read through the list. So a fashion designer in anything that we're putting under this section. If you work with beads, bead maker, tailors, makeup artists, hair and beauty salons, nail technicians, hair and beauty product manufacturers. So if you make creams or lotions, braids, I don't know what you make. I want to hear what you make. Tattoo artists, stylists. So maybe you help businesses set up their lookbooks, or you work with fashion designers to do their portfolio, or you style models for photo shoots, that kind of thing. Or you're working at a higher level, so manufacturing, or e-commerce. There was someone who mentioned they had a platform. That's something that you could apply under. Then for audiovisual, film, TV, and content creation, again, the wider umbrella is audiovisual. Community radios. So the community radio part was fine for applying photographers, filmmakers, and that involves the entire raft of people who go into making a film. So are you a scriptwriter? Are you a director? Are you a cinematographer, editor, set design, lights, whatever it is you do for film, but on the production side, you can talk to us. Music production, podcasting, content creation, like vlogging, blogging. Maybe you have a website, or you do stuff on socials. That could be useful. For gaming, we have game developers, but we also have esports practitioners. So are you a competitive player, or do you have a gaming stream? That's something that would be interesting for us. Are you part of the extended reality universe? So VR, AR, MR, immersive experiences, that would fall under audiovisual. For live performance, this is people who stand on stage and entertain or educate. So live bands, DJs, visual artists. We've seen people who do like light work, poetry. Sure, that must be somewhere down. Okay. Then we have theater, stand-up comedy, dance. That could include acrobatics. I saw someone who does tap dance in the chat. I didn't say hi. That's really interesting. I didn't know we had a big tap dance community in Kenya. Acrobats, we've worked with puppetry, spoken word and poetry. And then this also includes cultural spaces, so event organizers, venues, and ticketing platforms, because all that is still part of what is needed to make a successful creative economy event. So we have this as linked to your FAQs. I can't put this is the internal link. So have a look, spend some time on it, see what makes sense to you, and then you just tick which of the three umbrella sectors is useful. So I'll just leave this. But I see there's a question from Stephen Kahinga. Your hand is up.
Yes, good afternoon. It's actually afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So, yes, I'm Stephen Kahinga from Ujuzi Craft. So just a small maybe introduction on what we do. We are a tech firm where we work in various industries, which is the creative industry. We have, an e-commerce platform called Sharika, which we're looking to launch this year. And Shawika is basically an influencer platform where we are onboarding influencers and local businesses to sell their products and also use those influencers to market their brands. So over and above that, we have platforms for CBOs, for hospitals. So we work in various industries. So now into my question. If I had applied for the Thrive financing, but then you have this Sanara that's now active, can someone switch during the process, or do you have to apply again, or how does that work? Because you had Thrive that was that ended about October 1st, which is what we had applied for, but then rather October 11th, and then also now you introduced this new one. So can someone change during the, maybe if they qualify, or do you need to apply for both? Why I'm saying that is because like for us, maybe Sanara would work best because it's a bigger, you have a bigger pool of the financing that you have or we can get.
Sure. So yes, you would have to submit a separate application because what is being asked on the different applications is different. So if you do want to apply for a Sanara grant, you need to submit a separate application. I don't know if I would advise you to withdraw your Thrive application. I would let it run its course and see. Just, you never know. Also, I wonder, and again, maybe it needs a personal conversation, but the target groups are slightly different. So Thrive is a more commercial fund and it's giving loans. And then this one is targeting a CBO. So again, just make sure as far as eligibility, you can make that jump and you don't lose one while trying to get the other.
Yes, yeah. For this one, for Sanara, we'd be looking for the financing bit, not the grant, because the grant is for CBOs.
Okay, so you'd be interested in the Sanara loan?
Yes.
Yes, yeah. You can, but yes, you would need to submit a separate application.
Okay, and then the final question is: if you don't currently have audited accounts, it was a 2 years audited accounts. What other option is there?
If you don't have the 2-year audited accounts, you just tick that you don't have them. It's not a disqualifier. We just want to establish for the businesses that we'll work with. We establish how how ready are you to have audited statements. So if you have them, we start recording them for the full duration of the time. If you don't have them, we work with you to get to a point where you can at least be having one audited statement per year. Dr. Karimi, your hand is up.
Yes. So Stephen, I think you've asked a question about in case you don't have the audited statement. If you're doing the Ota Growth one, if you don't have the audited statement, the other alternative for that is management accounts. So then either of them could work. If you don't have bank statements and you have M-Pesa till transactions, that as well could work for the last 2 years. But then also the question is, because they both are commercial funds. So then if you're looking to apply for the same amount you applied under Thrive, I would suggest probably just as Akati has mentioned, let the application process run through and the valuation process. Also considering that these two facilities have different interest rates. So the Thrive one is more favorable, it's at 7.5. This one, the Ota Growth is at 9. So based on that, then if you're applying for the same amount, Thrive would be advantageous because then you incur very small, a lower interest rate compared to the Sanara one. So yeah, I think let it run the course. The evaluations have just started, so you should be getting some feedback before end of the year as well on Thrive.
Okay, makes sense. Though I still feel we might need to apply for this one because, as I'd mentioned, we were looking for a little bit of a bigger facility, and the current the interest rates that are there on Sanara are still within what we'd be working with. So
okay,
yeah.
And not to make this a Thrive session, but I think you can get refinanced, right, Karemi? So you could
Yes.
apply for a smaller one. When that loan runs its course, you can apply for a second one. So again,
Yeah.
you can consider that. But so let's clarify the question, because I answered the question for audited statements for the grants. So for the grants, you don't have to have audited statements. This is for anyone else in the room. You just tick that you don't have audited statements. If you do have audited statements, you submit the audited statements. For the loans, you must submit some kind of financial documentation, and we've said you can either have audited statements, management accounts. What else did you say?
So, and then for the financials, for the bank statement, either bank statement or M-Pesa statement, either of the two.
Again, for every product we put out, just spend some time looking through, because next year there'll be some loans and their criteria will be slightly different. So you might be like, oh, if the Sanara loans require audited statements, I don't have those. There might be another product that comes that doesn't require any financial statements, etc., etc. So please, anytime you see a new one, because you've signed up to our social media or you're getting our newsletter, just take a minute and look through, because there are different products specifically because they're targeting slightly different or largely different groups. So always just take a look, have a look through. And if you have a question like Stevens, I'm thinking about this versus this, you can shoot us an email and we can give what advice we can. All right. I saw a question in the chat asking about registration. Again, for the CBO grants, you do not need CBO registration. You do need to be able to demonstrate you've been active in your community for at least 6 months, but you do not have to have the formal registration. You'll just need to be able to show us, this is my team, this is the list of members, and this is the work that we're doing. All right. I'm going to stop sharing. In case of anything, again, just check through the chat or send us an email. I don't see any additional questions, but what I can do is we can stay online for people to have some time to look through the chat and pick any links that you're looking for. Pick any contact information from people who are looking for partnerships. So I can give that maybe 10 minutes. And then in case you have an additional question that pops into your mind at that time, you can ask. Cheryl, I think it will make more sense. So Cheryl has asked in the chat if we can shed light on the individual grants. It will make more sense once they've already been set up and we can direct you to written information and very clear breakdowns of what the different grants can do. So to avoid information overload and miscommunication, please allow us to have a separate information session for that when the grants are live. Twalib is asking, is it possible to set up a meeting around, I guess, bigger HEVA questions? Yes, you can send an email to our partnerships team. I can share his email here. It's Jesse at HEVA Fund. Who was this Twalib? Right. Thank you, Bernice. Bernice is in the chat saying thank you and letting us know it was informative. Thank you. Thank you also to the rest of the team who's been on the call and helped with additional context and answering some questions. Thank you guys for making time this morning and for being interested in our work. We are very determined to help artists and creatives in Kenya. And one of the ways that we do that best is by hearing from you guys, hearing what we are doing that is already working for you, what could work better, and the details of what your day-to-day looks like and where exactly support would be helpful, what kind of support is helpful versus unhelpful. So we really appreciate you making time, even though it seems like we are answering your questions. It's always useful to hear from you guys. You tell us so much, and we learn so much about what people are doing. So again, I will stay on the call until 10 to 1, might even be 1 if people have additional questions, but I'm happy to close out. I can release also the rest of my colleagues. So if you have questions for them, they won't be here. So you better ask them in the next 1 minute. Otherwise, please interact with our material. Send us your questions. If you have additional questions, you can also DM us on socials. Apply for our products. We really want to give people support. And again, for people who are interested in meeting each other or networking, you can put your contact in the chat, or you can also DM us and say, hey, we want to talk to so and so, and we can see if we can put you in touch. I can see people are really lighting up the chat with their contact information. You guys are doing really cool things, and I think if you got together, it only strengthens it and makes sure that more people can interact with them. Partnerships are a backbone for creatives. We all know that. A lot of artistic work is done with at least another person. So don't hesitate. We have your contacts as HEVA because you registered for this, but in case you want to let's see, connect in Kwale, connect in Kampala, connect in Tanzania. If you want to connect with different people, we have writers and performers, we have e-commerce platforms, they're all in the chat. So I'm closing the session because we've run out of questions, not because we wouldn't like to be on for the last 20 minutes. My colleagues will go, but I'll stay on the call until 10 minutes to 1. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And have a great rest of your day, and make sure your applications find us before. I'll be looking for your names. I've seen your names, so please send in your applications on time. All right. Was it one boy? You'll have to stay until 12:50 so we can have a private conversation. But I'll stay on the call and we can chat. All right. All right, Cheryl, you can stay on the call, but again, the information is premature, so I'm not sure how useful that will be. All right, any other questions, comments? Have you been trying to reach HEVA? What do you think about HEVA? Have you gotten all the info that you wanted to get from the chat box? This was really cool, actually. You guys are really cool and so interested in working together.
Hi, Akati.
Hello. Solomon.
This is Solomon. I'm sorry I could not. Sometimes I could leave the call because of internet issues. I'm from Turkana, and we have this organization that we are running. So we have been running it for the past, I'll say, 2 years, but we have been actively like on and off because we are self-funding ourselves. But we were not registered by that time. Is that okay? Like if you mention on the time frame on the application, like 6, so we had decided to put our the time that we have been active 6 to 1 year. I don't know if that it's okay, but we have been doing it on and off for 2 years as a group, but we got registered recently officially.
Okay. When did you get registered?
We got registered on September this month.
Okay.
Last month, yeah.
Maybe I can ask why did you put 6 months to 1 year? Because of the on and offness?
Yeah, yeah, kinda. So we usually work quarterly.
Okay.
So we usually work after every 3 months. I'll say triannual. So that's why, but sometimes could not work like after
Have you
6
already,
months.
that's okay.
We are
Have you already
self-funding
submitted?
ourselves. Not yet. We are still finalizing on our budget. So my next question was on
I
the
mean,
budget.
sorry, let me answer the first one then. The duration of time won't factor into the scoring. But I would still put, because you've been working for 2 years, it's on and off because of factors that are outside your control.
Yeah.
Like you've not been closing because you're like, we're closing, and then you open again. So if you've been active, but you've been working the way you're saying, it's triannual, or it's I don't know
After
what word.
6 months.
Yeah, but it's not, you're saying, because what I'm hearing is that you were hesitant to put 2 years because it wasn't every day of the 2 years, but I would still put 2 years. Yeah.
So we will put 2
There's no
years.
harm. Yeah, there's no harm in that, because you can point to something you did 2 years ago under the same group of, like under the same organization, even if it was just registered. So you can put 2 years. Then the question on budget.
So the question on budget is now, we noticed while we were doing our first draft of the budget, we noticed the 3 years, we do both trainings and film festival. So we were like, we noticed the 3 years is not going to be practical in terms of finance if you're entirely relying on the HEVA fund budget. So is it possible if we just do like 2 years of, finance for the budget instead of 3 years? Or is it compulsory you have to budget for 3 years?
3 years would be, again, a stronger application, but it's not mandatory.
Okay.
If you want to put 2 years, and yeah, I think you can put it for 2 years. We can adjust around. Maybe there's someone who only wants to work for 1 year, or maybe the amount. Yeah, so you can put 2 years.
Okay, and the budget is supposed to be six, let's say a maximum of 6 million for the 3 years or 2 years.
It's a maximum of 6 million for your application. So if you apply for 2 years and you want the 6 million, you can do it that way. But again, remember, your application will be read against someone who is spending the 6 million for 3 years. So you really need to show what is the impact.
Okay.
Yes, so that application is strongly considered. I'm guessing we won't, being in Turkana, you probably have fewer people who are in your space. So that might be an advantage for you. But yeah, you can apply for the maximum amount for a smaller period of time, but the finance people will be like, okay, but someone else is going to take this amount of money and do work for longer or do more work. So when we compare the two, who will we move with? So it will be about showing the strength of the work that you want to do.
Okay, that's okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Nedi, I'm going to type the answer. If you want me to speak the answer, just let me know. Okay. Let me know if that's clear then. We have 2 minutes. Any additional questions? Right. I'm doing. All right. Okay, if there's no additional questions, then please have a good rest of your day. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. This recording will be up on YouTube in a short while. You can review it if you have any additional, if you have anything that comes to mind, you're like, oh, I didn't get that. And again, in case of any questions, just shoot us an email before the deadline. We'll do our best to support you. Yeah. So if everyone else can leave, I can take Cheryl's question. Cheryl, do you mind if is Wambo still on the call? She's not. Okay, then I guess I'll take Cheryl's question.
I'm still
Once
on the
everyone
call.
else exits. You are? Okay. So Cheryl, do you mind if we take your question with Wamboy? Otherwise, we might have to find another link. And also, you should note that this session is being recorded.
Yeah, so do I just start?
Yeah. Again, guys, the session is over. These are personal questions. I guess if you have a personal question, you can join the queue. But yeah, go ahead, Cheryl.
Okay, so the main question was, by your speculation, the individual grants that will be available next year, will they help independent artists who are just starting out? Like
Yes.
no bank statements, no 6 months. It does.
Yes.
And also during the Ota Growth session, Dr. Karimi had advised me to talk to Sandbox because they offer the upskilling training, and apparently they'll have mini grants at the end of the session that they'll award to their participants, or at least the ones who make the cut. So I wanted to know more
I don't
about the
think
mini
they'll be
grants.
awarding grants. They will be directing you to ask for grants. Sandbox is part of this same program. It's the same program. Or maybe I should say Sandbox is part of it. You can approach Sandbox as an independent organization. They work with entrepreneurs. But what I mean, for purposes of Sanara, you can go to Sandbox for training on business support. And at the end of that, you're directed to apply for either a loan or a grant, depending on what you're eligible for. But they will not be directly giving funds.
Okay, that's understood then. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, Wamboy.
Yes, I think we got to the point where you asked me what I had applied for in the last time, and I did an application for the section for audio plays, and I remember I was able to illustrate how it will all happen, but my only obstacle was the part for you write the budget, and then you have to fill it in the template that is provided. That was my only challenge. So I don't know if I filled the correct things or in the correct way.
What was the response you got?
The response, they told me they weren't specific on what didn't work.
Could you open it and let me, because there's multiple points at which, so I don't know what, you understand?
Yeah.
If you did you use the template?
Yes, I think, yeah,
you did.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So again, I need to hear what we told you so that I can answer your question. Are you able to access your email?
I don't know if I
Oh no, it's dropped off. Hi guys. Are you also on the call to ask questions? Audrey, did you have a question? I've seen something in the chat. Are you still here?
Yeah, for me, I had a question.
Okay, just hold on. Wambo is back.
Sorry, let me look for it as you. I'll have to come out a bit and then I'll come in with the email ready.
Okay, no problem. All right, Evelyn?
Yeah, so for me, I have a question. Looking at how the grant is structured, it should be at the end of it benefiting maybe like an art, like maybe if it's an art group or something. Because for us, we are focusing on accessory that is bags. And so we weren't sure if this is something that would really be part of what is eligible in terms of the accessories and the
Evelyn,
garment.
you've asked this question 3 times. You can
Yes.
apply. Yes, yes. If you are making bags,
Okay.
that is under fashion, garments, and accessories. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Now I
Is
can
there another part?
exit.
Is there something else in that eligibility that is giving you pause? Because you've
I
asked, and bags are fashion. I've shown you on the thing, so we need to be clear what is giving, because I want you to apply. So what is making you hesitate?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, then I will apply. What was giving me hesitation has been resolved.
Okay, perfect.
The link part. Okay, thank you.
Right. Miriam, Audrey,
I can
Solomon.
exit now.
You could have. I think yours was the first question, Evelyn. But thank you for asking. It's really good to be clear. And yes, you can exit unless you have additional questions. All right. Anyone else? Okay, then I'll just wait for one boy. Regan, the recording of the session will be up on our YouTube. You're welcome. Enjoy your afternoon as well.
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, I only found the one that they told me they actually shortlisted me. I passed the first stage, and then I can't find the other one they told me specifically. Why not? I don't know.
So how best can I answer your question? Because there's a couple of things. For example, this grant application is going to ask for completely different things.
All right. Okay.
But we do, like you say, we do try and no, we do actually not try. We give responses at every point. So when you submit your application, we tell you we've received your application. When there's the first review, you get an either like you have passed the first review, you move to the second. Or you did not pass the first review because of ABC. And so on and so forth. So at the second review for that grant, we were looking at, that was the creative panel. So it was looking at the more like the content of the thing, the content of the performance that you wanted to perform, the people who you are planning to have in your tour, the audience that you are and how you are planning to attract an audience, because people are going to different counties. So it's possible that you are going to a place where you didn't have a ready audience. So how are you going to, like, audio plays are really new, right? So how are you going to let people know what you have and make sure you get a decent number of people in your show? I think those were, generally, so like the artistic content, not the budget. So that part was not really looking at the budget. Or no, actually, those ones are combined. So yes, we're probably also looking at the budget to see if there's anything that you had applied for that could not be qualified under that, under the grant. So it was something in that universe of things that either did not meet the mark or did meet the mark, but did not, we had enough numbers.
All right, I see.
Yeah, so again, if you can see the content, if you can find that email, it would clarify, but it would only make sense for that application.
All right.
Yeah. So again, if you read through an application and you feel like, I don't know, for example, this is only asking about audio plays, and I have lots of experience in dance as well that I think you guys need to know about. One, you can either write to us a separate email. Two, you can review the application form, because we usually do try and ask, like, in relation to this, what kind of work do you do? And do you do work in any other sectors, or you're able to pick multiple sectors? So again, we'll look at our application forms to make sure that that is indicated, but my bottom line remains, being multidisciplinary is not a disadvantage.
All right, thank you so much for clarifying that and putting that section in there, because you find yourself you're doing a lot of things and you're hoping maybe this is a project it's big, but you realize like there's also something else you have that is also eligible for the funding. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate so much for your time and everything, and I hope to see you soon because I'm applying again.
All right, perfect. Hope to see you.
All right.
Okay. All right, thanks everyone. It is 1:01 p.m. If you haven't asked your question by now, you will have to send it on email. But it was really great to connect with you guys. Again, there's a recording that will be up on our YouTube, and if you have any follow-up questions, do try and get them to us in time so that you meet the deadline. Thank you and have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.